Let's talk about how changing our reactions can actually lessen our frustration. What a concept, huh? So yeah, caring for an individual with Alzheimer's disease or related dementia can be extremely challenging and very often overwhelming, as we all know. And frustration is normal and is a very valid emotional response to many of the difficulties of being a caregiver. Now, while some frustration may be part of everyday life as a caregiver, extreme frustration can have serious consequences for you and your loved one. Frustration can certainly cause stress, which may negatively impact your physical health and well-being for both you and your loved one. So, as a caregiver of someone with dementia, you face many uncontrollable situations. Normal activities like dressing and bathing and eating may be sources of deep frustration for you, for sure. And maybe some of the behaviors often associated with dementia, like wandering or asking questions repeatedly, can be frustrating, but are uncontrollable behaviors for people with dementia. So when you are frustrated, it is important to distinguish between what is and what is not within your power to change. And when we think about that, what is the one thing that we always have the power to change, that we talk about over and over in this course? Your reaction. Yep, there it is again. So we need to keep in mind that your loved one is only working with a part of their brain. If you don't like the way something is going, you need to be the one to change. You need to be the one to change the course. Realistically, you have the power to control your frustration with this mindset. Powerful stuff. Your loved one will have little concept, if any, of facts, but will be in touch with the emotional part of everything you do. Now, this is something we keep saying over and over again within this course. Unfortunately, we can't simply change the behavior of a dementia loved one, and your loved one is reacting to you and your emotions and your behaviors. So realistically, we need to learn how to modify our reactions so that we can have a harmonious relationship and lifestyle with dementia and our loved one. So in order to respond without extreme frustration, you'll need to do a few things. And the first thing is learn to recognize the warning signs of frustration, which we will go through those as well. You'll need to learn how to calm yourself down physically. And we've talked about this. Breathing exercises are a tremendous way to calm yourself down. You'll need to learn how to modify your thoughts and reactions that creates a positive outcome. And you'll need to dig into the communication skills that you've learned already and use those in a gentle and calm way. And then finally, have to learn to ask for help, which is really hard for caregivers to do. But we will discuss that in a whole lesson and come up with an actual help plan for you. So what are the warning signs of frustration? We all know these: clenching of teeth, rise in physical temperature and sweaty palms, stomach cramps, chest pains, headache, shaking or trembling, racing heartbeat, excessive alcohol consumption, and lack of patience. Like when we get to that breaking point, right, with that frustration, our patience goes out the window. So learning to calm yourself physically. First thing, as I already mentioned, use the breathing exercises that you have been learning in Caregiver Wellness. And also, if you're on Insight Timer, they have breathing exercises there too that you can start incorporating into your daily routine. Right? Again, you want to do that 5-count breath in, inhale, 5-count hold, and 5-count exhale every day during a morning routine task, like making coffee or something like that, or in the afternoon. It doesn't matter what time it is during the day, but just during an actual task that you do every day. So you're training your brain to automatically start kicking into gear when you're frustrated or feeling anxious. Now, often we hear count to 10, right? When we get stressed or frustrated, but sometimes 10 isn't long enough. So I say count to 50. Somewhere between 10 and 50, just start counting, gather your thoughts, and calm yourself down. If it's safe to do so, and you can leave your loved one alone for a few minutes, step outside and breathe in fresh air. Getting outside even just for a few minutes, does wonders for creating a calm state within your body. And the bottom line, if needed, take a step back or a timeout and reset, and then come back with a better frame of mind and a better plan with your conversation and reactions. So we really want to incorporate thoughts and reactions to have a positive outcome. So the number one thing we want to do is start learning how to modify how we react, right? So often the role of caregiving is not one that we choose. However, as I keep saying, what we can choose is the outcome of the situations, and that's up to you. Now, dementia does not rob our loved one of their dignity. It's how we react that does. So your choices shape everything. So choose words and actions wisely rather than reactions. That will give you a positive income for both you and your loved one. You want to connect rather than correct, right? Connect rather than correct. Keep this top of mind when making choices of how to react to something or how to respond to something going on. So for example, and I know we've used this example before, if your loved one wants to go home or keeps saying they want to go home, rather than saying, you are home, what are you talking about? Use this opportunity to connect, right? Ask them about their home. Ask them about their neighbors. They may enjoy talking about family members. What was the house like? What is the house like? Do they have a big yard? So get them talking about what they are, whatever they're fixated on or they're chatting about at the time, rather than correcting them by saying, you are home. Connect with them. Another example is one that I had with my mom when we moved her into her residential facility. The first day that we took her there, she was confused, which is normal. And as we were standing there, she looked at my dad and I, and, she said, well, I thought we were going to get married, to my dad. And instead of saying, well, you are already married, you're already married, I jumped in right away and said, yeah, you are going to get married. And we're actually planning the wedding here. And I said, I took her hand and I walked her out. Again, this is her first day. She's never been. I said, we're going to go see where we together collectively chose to have the wedding ceremony. Let's go look at that again. So that let's thing, let's go look at this again. And we walked out there to the courtyard and I walked her through like how we were going to do the ceremony, and she loved it. And we went back to the room. Before I left, I said, next week or whatever it was, a couple days, I'll come back and we'll go shopping for your wedding dress. So of course we never did that because she didn't remember that I had said anything like that. But again, rather than saying, you are already married, Mom, or my dad saying, we're already married, Sharon, we connected with her rather than correcting her. So that's really important. And this is that opportunity to be creative, right? And we said in the beginning of this course, there's lots of opportunities for you to be creative. So again, take that step back. If you start to become overreactive or become reactive or become over frustrated or just frustrated, and come back and start again. A great way to start training yourself with this reactionary thing is imagine you're talking to yourself. Put an image of yourself, visualize you standing in the middle of the room and you're talking to you in the same tone of voice, in the same reactionary capacity that you're talking to your loved one. And how does that look to you? How does that sound to you? Are you speaking in a way that you would like someone to talk to you? So when we visualize that, you talking to you, that becomes very insightful at times. So let me ask you this. How would you react to these situations? Where's my cell phone? Where's my purse? That's one that we hear often with loved ones with dementia. So, this is a sense of security for sure for some people. Now, how would you react to that? Just your reaction, just think about that. Or next time this comes up, notice your reaction. So what are some ways to kind of solve this if, they kind of get lost here and there and you can't find them and that's the source of frustration? Have extras. Simple, right? And a thing with purses too, maybe have some seasonal ones, have some summer purses, spring purses, winter purses, depending on what your loved one is like. Just have a bunch of extra ones around and then frame it that way. Oh yeah, that was your winter purse you had. And now we're moving into spring. So let's use this one instead, right? So if they can't find the other one, replace it with something else and connect, right? Talk about spring weather coming. We need to change the purse, whatever works. And another thing you can do is get tile trackers. I think you can order these on Amazon. They're not expensive. That you can put on belongings where you can actually track where belongings are to make it easier to find. Oops, there's a spill on the carpet. So this is one of those things like, is this really a problem, right? That's what you want to ask yourself. Is this really a problem? There's so many situations in life where that comes up because guess what? You can clean it up, right? There's no reason to have an overreaction to this or to get frustrated with your loved one, right? It can be cleaned up, or whatever it is, something's broken, it can be fixed. A broken glass, it can be cleaned up. So ask yourself, with these little situations, is this really a problem? And choose your words and reactions accordingly, right? And take a step back and take a breath and allow your brain to catch up with what's going on whenever a situation arises. So what about repetitive questions? What are you doing? What time is it? That kind of stuff. Again, we have to remember that most of the time these stem from worry or concern. So consider this before you react and try to solve their problem for them and ease their worry. So, an example is, if, for instance, like when I was working from home, and I've used this before, my mom would be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing when I'm in my office? And I was like, oh, I'm actually doing some work for, my boss, but I do have something that you could help me with if you'd like. And what I need you to do is I'm going to give you these magazines, and if I need everything that you can find that has the color purple in it, because she liked the color purple and she could recognize that color, and I'd give her a stack of magazines. I said, go through and pull out 20 photos for me that had the color purple because I need those for this project that I'm doing. So that was one way to kind of, get her involved, get her engaged in something so that she stops asking me those questions. Or I would hand her a stack of papers and like, hey, could you staple these for me? Absolutely she could. So she would sit there and staple and help out. The other thing is if they're asking what time is something, what time is dinner, what time is Jane coming home, create a schedule. A whiteboard is great for this. So actually writing down the daily schedule so you can say, okay, let's go look at the schedule. Jane is coming home at 4. Dinner will be at 6:30, and have it all written out so they can actually see it. This is really a great and useful tool to help kind of eliminate some of those repetitive questions around like what time, when is, all that kind of stuff. So how can we train ourselves to be more aware of how we react to situations? So there's one thing that I like to do, and it's one of the things I started doing early on to kind of help train my brain in this way. And I call it like the stoplight standoff, because think about it. When we come to a stoplight, we've got about 2 minutes, maybe 90 seconds or so. And what do we do when we come to the stoplight, right? What do we actually do? Do we grab our phone? Do we turn up the radio? Do we roll down the window? Do we sit in silence and kind of observe what's going on around us? What is your reaction, right? And it tends to be the same. If you pay attention to that, you'll probably do the same thing over and over again at the stoplight. And maybe switch it up. After you realize kind of how you're reacting to stuff, you're grabbing your phone every time. Next time you come to a stoplight, don't do it. And maybe roll down your window and listen to the birds outside and look around you, right? This can almost be like a 90-second meditation, right? And then take it to the next level. Other daily situations. Notice your reaction with tailgating. Right? If you're getting frustrated and angry, what does that accomplish? Right? What does that accomplish except causing you physical stress? Right? Or at a doctor's appointment and the doctor's running late. Is this really a problem? It could be if you have another appointment, but realistically, you're going to get in to see the doctor. It might just be a little bit longer. Amazon Prime is late. Yeah, sometimes we get explosive when we don't get our whatever that we ordered from Amazon. But again, is this really a problem? If we keep asking ourselves that, sometimes then we'll be like, ooh, maybe I don't need to react that way. Or your grocer is out of your favorite coffee brand. So these simple little things, just start noticing how you react to these and start changing those things into more positive, mindful reactions. So when we're doing this with all these little things that we see and do every day, it'll start becoming more automatic with other stuff. So again, this is you observing you with the little things, all of this, like taking moments during our daily routine to observe our reactions. And like I keep saying, you want to modify your reaction immediately to a positive outcome. When you start feeling yourself getting frustrated or having a negative reaction, immediately step back and change it. Another great way to start understanding yourself and your reactionary patterns and behaviors is to journal. And this can be as simple as writing down the situation, your reaction, and how you could have made a better choice if it was a negative reaction. And it gives you great framework to look back on. So again, this helps in training your brain to start react differently. And it's also positive, can be a positive for you in regards to self-awareness and growth, right? This is what this is all really about. So you truly can experience some self-growth through all of this. So there can be some positive outcome with this dementia caregiving in the end. Truly, I'll tell you, it is possible. I mean, I know that I am a better person having been a caregiver to my mom. So even in sucky situations, you can have some moments of growth and long-term growth that will change you forever, right? So now the final thing to help cope with frustration is to ask for help. So this will be in the next lesson, a whole lesson on asking for help and how to ask for help. And then we'll create an actual help plan for you to have in front of you and a list of people that you can reach out to, so to speak. So before we move on, I have two options for you. You have an option to do a beautiful meditation with my good friend Claire. And this is going to be a vocal singing meditation mantra on togetherness, which is just wonderful. Or you can do a 4-minute frustration Tabata workout, which is in the downloadables. And I'll also have a video on how to do that workout as well. So it's got some punches and kicks in it. So if you're feeling frustrated right now, still, just in general, you can do this workout. Or if you'd like to be a little more calm, you can do the beautiful meditation with Claire. I highly recommend both at some point, but you choose. You choose what works for you today, and maybe tomorrow it's something different. So next is asking for help, and I will see you there after you do your workout or your meditation.